Let me record.
Okay.
Hello, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Just want to set it to record. Let me just check if it is recording. All right, so it's recording. Okay, so today we want to look at the transactions. That's where we are starting from today. And this area
Okay.
is the area which preoccupies you when you start using search
Mm-hmm.
engine. That's where you spend most of your time. So
Okay.
there are a number of things. We're going to go one by one, right? On text, normally there is nothing to do there. It's whereby you just want to close text periods. The text periods are your months, right? Your January, February, March, April. So when you are processing, let's say you've processed the transactions for a particular month, then you just want to close that text period. You can just come here and close it. So we are not going to do anything for now because we haven't transacted. I think we'll come back to it later on. So I'm going to go to general ledger, right? So on general ledger, a number of things. Now your accounting comes into play, right? Uh, so under general ledger, you are processing transactions to do with cash books, right? All your cash books, you are processing them via general ledger, cash book batches, right? I'm going to be explaining what will be happening. You are also going to be processing all transactions that have to be processed through the general journal, right? You are also going to do bank reconciliations, right? Then this case where export, I'm just keeping it. You're not doing anything there. Then you are also doing currency revaluations. We are also doing journal transfers. Then this one, control account reconciliation, we're not going to look at it for now, even the transactional export. So, okay, we'll come back to this. We'll also come back to control account recon. We'll also come back to journal transfer, including currency revaluations. We'll also look at caseware export so that you just know what happens, even bank rec. But first, we have to build I have to give you a foundation of the basic transactions that we do so that we are able to do all these other transactions, right? So showing you
Okay.
how to do things on evolution, it's not difficult. It's just like training you how to drive a car. It may be difficult when you are starting, but with time, with practice, eventually you become able. The issue is, do you understand the financial transactions? That's more important. You should know your accounting. So when you are saying cash book processing, we are talking of all transactions to do with cash or cash and cash equivalents. I believe at college, at university, you did a module whereby you were doing like advanced accounting. And in that,
Yes.
you were no longer defining your cash and bank accounts as bank cash. You're now saying cash and cash equivalents. So anything to be defined is that it has to be processed through your cash book. So in a practical way, your bank accounts, if you've got a bank account with CAPS, if you've got a bank account with CBZ, those are cash book transactions. If you have got hard cash as in physical cash, those are your cash book transactions. If you have got electronic wallets, locally, you could talk of your EcoCash, your One Money. Yeah, it could be even a Zinara card. For some companies like transporters, they put money in a Zinara card for toll gates, right? All those are cash books. So I'm going to show you how to do a cash book. But you need to understand, if you are to join a company, anything to do with such kind of transactions, you have to create a cash book. And when you're processing cash books, you're not processing into one cash book. You are creating a cash book for each bank account, right? So let's say you've got CBZ Nostro. You create a CBZ Nostro. You create a CBZ ZWG account. We are going to be doing that so that you see how it works. So that's the background. So we're saying any transaction which has been done, which includes cash, it's processed through the bank account or the cash book, right? So what does that mean? It means if your customer pays you, that's a cash book transaction. If you pay a supplier, that's a cash book transaction. If you pay an expense using cash or a bank transfer, that's a cash book transaction. If you receive money from shareholders, as long as there is cash which is involved, that's a cash book transaction. So if I'm an accountant, basically I could just list, I mean, to make my life easy, I could just list and say, okay, which are the transactions which are happening here, which include cash or which involves cash. Then I would just know that these transactions, if I'm to process them, I will use the cash book. That's the background of it. Now, I'm going to show you how to do that on Evolution, which is the easier part. So let's say you've got your cash book transaction and you want to process it. We're saying you are going via transactions, general ledger, then you are saying cash book batches. Evolution uses batch processing. As I explained previously, it's just a way of it. You collect information into a window, then you can decide to post later. So for each cash book, each bank account, each cash book, you have to create a batch. And how to do that? You come to new, you say new batch, right? So you say new batch, then it loads up, right? So it will give you a batch number, CB001, it's for reference. Then you have to give a batch description. Because as I said, your bank accounts are, even if you are banking with one bank, NMB bank, but still you may have an Nostro account and a ZWG. If you've got many accounts, then you have to pay for each. So in the batch description, you're now putting the name of the bank. It's easier. Then you just identify by saying Nostro. Then the transaction code is that, just leave that transaction code as it is, doesn't really matter, right? This account is in US dollar. So we are not putting a foreign currency here. You will see when we do the ZWG, you are going to pick the ZWG. Then you've got these options. Mostly these options, we say leave them as they are. We want you to tick on clear batch after post. Right? As I said, we're going to be capturing transactions into what we term a batch. You see, then you are saying when you post it to the ledger, it has to clear the transactions, like it has to sort of not delete as such, but it's just clearing the transaction so that next time when you open it, it's empty. You're starting anew. Right? And then it says allow duplicate references. Normally we say do not allow this. Unless probably if you are splitting transactions, you may allow. But normally why we don't want to allow is it affects our bank reconciliations. Because when you're doing bank rec now, you want to have each transaction standing alone. But when you use one reference for 5 transactions, what the system does, it batches those 5 transactions into one. So let's say you had 5,000, 2,000, whatever other amount. What it will do, instead of showing those individual amounts, it will just show you a global figure like 50,000. You can do the recon, but it becomes tough. It will take you more time. So normally we say do not allow duplicate. And the rest of it we can leave as it is. Then you come to integration. So now under integration, there is a relationship between the general ledger account of the cash book and this batch. So here under bank, you have to select the general ledger account. In my case, I had created CBZ. So I'm going to change the name. Let me just change the name here so that I do not have necessarily to. I hope you remember how to create a bank account. I talked about that when I talked about under maintenance, when we were creating accounts. So under integration, I'm picking this. Then the rest of it, the accounts receivable, the accounts payable, they are okay, right? The discount, all these are okay. Then it has to be ticked here, right? Then you just come to new line defaults. You can leave these defaults as they are. Text defaults, you can leave them as they are, right? Page details, then these are your page details. I've created this as an administrator, so it gives me the reference number, description, then it goes on and gives me the one who created it. So I say, okay, this is not capturing transactions. This is creating a window into which we are going to be processing transactions. So what it does now, you can see it opens the batch. I'm not yet processing. I want to close this. So I'm banking with CBZ. I've got the Nostro account. I also have got the ZWG. So I'm now going to create the ZWG. So I'm coming to new, right? Then again, it will come to this window. The reference has changed. The page number is now CB002. Now I'll describe this page and say CBZ Bank ZWG. All the rest of it I'll leave it. But here on currency, I have to define. This is the Zimbabwe dollar ZWG. Then I have to come and integrate here. Select the general ledger account which I created, which is CBZ Bank ZWG. Everything else, I leave it as it is. Then I say, okay. So for CBZ, I'm done. Let's assume that I just have got these two accounts with CBZ. So if I had EcoCash, I was going to do the same. What is happening is you are creating the general ledger, the bank account here. I hope you remember, right, accounts. So you are creating it so that when you come here and you are creating a new batch, you have an account to integrate with here. You have an account to integrate here. So this is very key. So once you have created your batches, it means for CBZ Nostro, your transactions you are processing them in here. For ZWG, you are processing them in here. If you had other bank accounts, you are going to have a list of them, which means each time you are processing a particular transaction, you should identify the bank account into which you are going to be processing that. So, okay, let's say probably we've got a CBZ Nostro account. And now I'm now showing you how to transact. I'll explain the window, then you will probably do one transaction. So up here, you've got this batch. Okay, this what you see here is what you also have here, right? So these tabs, they allow you to do things, post batch, link manager, and so on. Then under view, there is nothing there. Invalidate line. If you want to delete a line, if you want to insert a line, if you want to split a line. So in utilities, you can change the way this form appears. Right. Then it will give you a reference, CBR. This is now the reference for this page, CBZ Nostro. This is the first one that you have done for audit processes. Bank account is CBZ Nostro. You can't change this as bank account because when we created the badge, we created it for CBZ Nostro. So you can't change it. Validation totals. So we're saying an organized accountant, before you start processing your transactions, you can validate them on Excel. You can have a list of your deposits, the deposits that you are going to process. Because the two things that you are going to process, deposits and payments. So you validate them on Excel, you have got a total. You can put a total there, right? The same goes for the payments. You validate them first on Excel, then you have a total, so you can put the total. Why are you doing that? You are doing that so that when you start capturing, end of day, whatever you're going to capture in here has to tally with whatever you have put here or whatever you have put here. If there is a difference, it will tell you that either you've missed a transaction or probably your figures are not correct. So the validation totals, they help you with that. Now, let's come in here now. Now, in here, what we have, underline, you're not doing anything, but here you're selecting the transaction date. By default, the system picks the system date, right? Print checks. If you are printing checks in Zimbabwe, because of the economic condition that we are in, we are not using checks, but in other countries, it's normal to be using checks. And instead of using a checkbook from the bank, remember, you see, in Zimbabwe, the economy has been, I don't know, But we used to have checkbooks. You could actually have a book whereby I write you a check, then you can go and bank it or cash it, whichever way. So the system is saying you may want to print those checks from the system. If you want to do that, then you tick on print check. We are not going to be printing checks, so we're going to remove the tick there. Why is my tick not responding? If I lost the internet? All right, it's now responding, yes. Okay, then here under module, which is important, where is the money coming from? Is it coming from a general ledger account? If it is a general ledger account, let's say it's a deposit or it's a payment, so it's both ways. If it's the GL, it's both ways. Either it's a deposit, it's money coming, either shareholders have injected more capital, right? They've injected more capital, or you have received a loan from, it could be from a bank or from somewhere else, money coming in. Under general ledger, that's where you are also making payments. Either you've paid rent using cash, you've paid for accounting expenses, or whatever you've paid for. So those, which means if you select module GL, you are saying whatever account which is going to come up here, if you've got module GL, whatever account which is going to come up here is a general ledger account, right? If you select module AR for accounts receivable, it means the accounts which are going to come here are customer accounts. If you select AP for accounts payable, it means the accounts which are going to come here are supplier accounts. So it's simple. Cash is involved, right? Then how is it involved? Are we receiving money or are we paying? Okay, we are receiving, then from where? So that determines the module that you selected. Let's say, let's assume that your money is coming from shareholders. I want to, let's say shareholders have given us a loan. I want to use, I believe we've got a shareholder loan account. So we want to assume that shareholders are giving us, they've given us a loan to help us with our working capital. So you just pick that. At the moment. So we are saying, let's say money has come from shareholder loans. If you don't know the account, the number here, you can look up for an account using account name. So you could just come here. Let's see if it allows me. Then I know this account. So that's why I'm just typing it in. I know I should have such an account. Let me see if it exists. Shareholder. I think there is space there. Holder. Right. So I don't have this account. Okay. It could come from share capital. Let's say probably it's just share capital which has been injected. So money is coming in. So I'm picking the account there. Then I'm putting in hello. Hello, yes. Hello, yes. Andozona ndaya kumba ndiri busy. Andozona ndaya kumba ndiri busy. Aiwa, vanogovhura mberi kwacho. Ndozona ndaya kumba vanogovhura mberi kwacho. Sorry for that. So here on the reference, we are putting a reference it could be a reference, either the money has been transferred into the bank account. So you're putting a reference from, could be a reference from the bank statement, or it could be a reference from the agreement, whatever you have. So you're putting in a reference which helps you remember what has been done. So I'm just putting in a reference there. Right. Then you put in the description. Shareholders. Right. So you're putting in the description there. Then this is money coming in. So we have got two columns. Right. Money coming in, you are putting it in the deposit column. Right. Then you continue. Then this money, no tax. You don't process tax, which is your value added tax, in cash book transactions, unless if you are processing a direct sale, probably, but normally we say let every sale come through the accounts receivable, right? So your tax will be to be blank, right? Then the sales rep, if it was a sale, then you are saying we are done. So basically, this is how you process. This is money coming from shareholders. Let's say still on the GL, probably we paid for the expense. All right. Let's say probably we paid for finance charges, as an example. As I said, the reference, you have to reference, if you're in an organization and they are paying for anything, either a requisition is made, which is authorized, so that requisition can be your reference. Right. Normally, for audit, normally if you've got such a system whereby each payment has to be requested and approved, let the requisition become your reference. Well, that's where the transaction began, and you can trace it, how it got into evolution. Myself, I'm just going to put some references for the purposes of our lecture. But so the description is meant to be as descriptive as possible so that over time you can remember, you don't have to scratch your head as to what was this transaction all about. So let's say we paid. So I'm putting this amount in the payment column because this was a payment. So, okay, these are your cash book transactions to do with the general ledger. So what I urge you is before you start processing a transaction, you have to define it. Do you have to do with the general ledger? If it has, then your module is the general ledger. Is it money coming in? Yes. Where is it coming from? So that you pick the correct account. Is it money going out? Which account is? Then you are good to go. Now, still, let's say we received money from a customer. So it means the module will change to AR. It also means that what will come up here are customer accounts, right? Then the reference, it could be a reference from the bank statement. Myself, I'm just putting up something so that you invoice. This is money coming in, so it's a deposit. So let's say this customer paid 1.5. So normally from customers, money comes in. Normally you don't pay your customers. Rarely Yeah, you can do a refund, but in rare circumstances, mostly money comes from customers. Then for AP, who are your suppliers? Normally you pay them. Rarely do they pay you. So you select supplier, put the reference, don't forget the reference. What the system does, it increments, actually it picks the previous reference, then it makes it. So the chances of using one reference for many transactions, it's very high. And let's say probably we paid this 2.5. So this is how you process your bank accounts. This is how it is. What is important is to define the transaction. That's, to me, that is the key. You define the transaction, right? Yes, it's a cash book transaction for which bank, right? Then after that, is it affecting a general ledger account, right? Is it a deposit? Is it a payment? Okay. Is it a customer payment? So that you select the correct module, AR. Is it a supplier payment? So that you select the correct module, AP. Once you have done that, it means whatever you have fed in here, is correct. Otherwise, if you fail to define the transaction, it means whatever you're going to be putting in here is wrong. Now, there are buttons up here. Bank Manager, we don't use it because Bank Manager has to do with you linking up with your bank and importing transactions direct into Sage Evolution. In South Africa, it works because their economy is a bit advanced and their banks allow that. In Zimbabwe, we are still to have that, right? So we have got Bank Manager, new line. If you just want to add a new line from here, if you want to insert a line from here, if you want to delete a line from here, if you want to split a line from here. Now, if you want to do validation, this one is for validation, just to check that there are no errors before you post. Then this one is to post the transactions. So when I click post batch here, you'd find it is going to post. Of course, there are these other, if you want to print, if you want to save, if you want to, this one is to import, this one is to export, right? But mostly what we use is post batch, because after doing your transactions, you want to post the transactions to the general ledger so that it updates your reports and everything. You can validate first. So you click validation, then it runs. If there are errors, it will give you here information batch successfully validated. No errors or warnings were found. If there were errors or warnings, it was going to put it in red and show you the warning. So here it's telling me that everything is okay. Right. So the double entry is already catered for here. We are in a bank account. So if you are making a deposit, what is happening is that this account, the capital, share capital account is being credited. Then the CBZ nostril is being debited. So your double entry there is already covered. When you say finance charges, what is happening is, because it's a payment, so the effect of it is that the finance charges account is being debited as an expense. Then your CBZ nostril, because money is going out, is being credited. Right. I'm explaining this because you will find it's going to be different when we go to the general journals. It's going to be different. So you need to understand the implication of the double entry which is happening, so that you, in the event of even making a mistake, you can trace and understand how your transactions are originating and how they are affecting your reports. So now, if you are happy with everything, then you have to post your page. You can print. I'm not going to print, right? But you can print and file if you want. But then I'm just going to post the batch. So by posting batch, I'm saying I'm updating my general ledger and my reports. Because automatically, once I post, my reports are updated. So it will say the batch has been modified. Do you want to save? I would say yes. I want to save that. Then it will say, do you want to print the batch? If I want, I could say yes, but I'm just going to say no. I don't know if I should have said yes. Then it will ask me, are you sure you wish to post this page? I say yes. So it will post and it will give me a message, page successfully posted. Then I say, okay. Then it will say, do you want to allocate customer transactions now? You remember when we were creating customer accounts, I spoke of open item and I spoke of balance forward. Then I said, select open item, because when you sell to a customer, right, assuming that you have sold an account, then when the customer comes to pay, you want to be able to match the payment against a particular invoice. So this is what we did. And the system is now giving us an opportunity to match the payment. So we will do for customers, we will also do for suppliers. So we'll say, yes, we want to allocate. In other words, we want to match against the invoices. In our case, we do not, because we haven't done customer transactions. This is our first transaction. So because of that, you'd find we have got this side, which has got the payment which we received, the 1.5. We have got this side where we were supposed to have the invoices that we must have done for the customer. But because we haven't done any invoice, so for now we can say do not allocate, because there is nothing to allocate against. So we'll just close that. Just close that. Then again, it will prompt me for suppliers. Why? Because again, when we created the suppliers, we spoke about open items, same concept. A supplier gives us an invoice because we've bought from that supplier. When we make payment, we want to be allocating the payments to individual invoices. This is very key because you do create in a big organizations. I'll give you your Delta or these big companies which purchase from many companies. You would find you have a dedicated person doing creditors, right? Open item makes your job easy, because if things were done properly, it means your age analysis reports and everything will be accurate. You can follow up your creditors, you can follow up your customers easily. So we are going to say yes, right? Again, the same situation. We have a payment which was done, but we do not have what? We do not have invoices yet. Until such time that we've done supplier documents, then we have an invoice. So for now, we're just going to close. I was showing you this so that you appreciate what we're talking about. Now, if you are to open this page, you are going to see that because we had ticked that it clears transactions when we process, is empty. And this reference is changed to CBR002. Oh, okay, there are 4 zeros, then 2. Until we post it. This is our next batch to working, right? Then you'd find our posting has affected some things. Because what we did, we received additional capital from shareholders. We paid for some expenses, and we also paid some suppliers. So if we were to come here and view, in this case, we are going to view, let's view the trial balance. So we want to view the trial balance. So let's say what I want to view here. Okay, let's view this account transactions. I think it's the one that lists our transactions. So whenever you're doing accounting, you need to know on a system, you need to know whatever you've done, you need to know what is the implication, what has happened. It's very important. What has happened from what I've done. So let me just view that and see what has happened there. Okay, I didn't want to see this one. This one is not, it's not the right report. It's not the right report. Let's close this one. Come here and say general ledger, account balances, account transactions, audit trail, recon, chart of accounts, income statement, open batches, project, revised trial balance. Yes, this is the report which I want. Right. So this is your TB. It will just show you your debit side and credit side and show you that everything is balanced. So we want to see what has happened. So this is our trial balance. So it shows other expenses, 1.8, trade receivables, 1.5 cash and cash equivalents, share capital. So this is your trial balance, right? And it's balanced. All your accounts, other accounts are built from that. And on viewing reports, you can see that I didn't select here from. These are general ledger accounts. I didn't select. I just said, okay, show whatever is to be there. I have to define the financial here. And also the period covered. Then I have also to say sort by. There are options there. You can sort by account type or account name, and also print sub accounts. I talked about sub accounts. Then it display. You may just want to display the account number, or you may want to display both. Right, suppress zeros if you don't want it to show zeros. Right. Then if we were doing branch accounting, of course, we're just going to view by branch. Then here under currency, if we want to view in a certain currency, probably let's say we wanted to view it in ZWG, we could just come there. Then printer options, you're setting up your printer and email options. You can explore those. Then this is your exchange rate. Then you say what? Okay. So you can view both in the US dollar. You can see the figures have changed. All right. So this is your cash book. I would want to know if you have understood it, because I'm just demonstrating using one cash book, and myself I would say, you are already fine, and you need to know the implication and be able to trace what has happened. So I want to ask if you have understood how to process cash book transactions.
Yes, so far so good.
All right.
I don't have any challenge so far.
Yes. So we're continuing. We are continuing. All right. We are continuing. Now, I want to talk about journal pages. All right. So the concept of page, as I said, is that you are simply creating a window into which you are going to be processing transactions. And in accounting, the transactions that you process using journal pages are your depreciation, are your salaries journals. If you happen to purchase a transaction, an asset on account, it all depends which way you want to yeah. It all depends again with your suppliers. I spoke about trade suppliers. I spoke about sundry suppliers. If you are handling all your suppliers through the AP, the accounts payable, then it means in your general journal, you do not have sundry suppliers. Right? So you need to create a batch. And the approach is the same like what we saw when we were creating the cash book batches. Now, you see, when you are doing accounting, you need to know which transactions do I process using the general journal. I gave you examples. It means all cash book transactions do not come into the general journal, because we said all those are processed through the cash book. There should not be any confusion there. You see, in the practical world, you find the accounting that you learn at university is difficult. Even the accounting that you learn at A level, O level is difficult. In the real world, we just need to define things and understand how this thing is treated. So your general journal is meant to process non-cash book transactions. If I am to define it in simple terms, non-customer transactions, non-supplier transactions. So the first port of call when you get a transaction is to define it. Okay. So we can just name it general journal. We can name it depreciation journal. We can name it payroll journal, but it doesn't change its characteristics or the structure, the way it is. It doesn't change it. It's the same journal.